A millionaire came home early, unannounced, and was shocked by what the janitor was doing with his triplets. Before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment where you're watching from, because today's story will change how you see the word family. Richard Rick Montaigne stood in front of the mirror in his master bathroom adjusting his tie for the third time. Over the last 3 years, his real estate empire had spread across Dallas, but the eyes staring back at him in the mirror still carried the dark circles of sleepless nights. Helen, his wife, had died in a car accident. Since then, the mansion wide as a museum held nothing but echoes. He sighed, thinking about hiring another interior designer, repainting walls, changing the lighting, as if colors could fill a void. Crash. A sharp, shattering noise rang from downstairs, cutting his thoughts in half. Rick rushed down the stairs. Italian ceramic lay in shards across the marble floor. His triplets, Michael, Sophia, and Gabe, stood lined up like they were posing for a yearbook photo, blank faces, hands behind their backs. Their nanny, Fern, was flushed, breathing hard. I can't do this anymore, Mr. Montaigne. I quit. She was the 12th in 2 years. Rick tried to keep calm. I'll raise the pay ad, more days off. It's not the money, Sir Fern interrupted, eyes darting toward the kids as though they were 3 lit fuses. She grabbed her bag and stormed out, leaving behind the stench of strong perfume and a pounding headache for her employer. Rick called the agency. On the other end, the manager sighed when they heard his voice. Mr. Montaigne, honestly, your kids, they have a reputation. Perhaps you should consider boarding school or intensive therapy. Rick pinched the bridge of his nose. I'm not sending my kids away. He hung up, standing alone in the grand foyer, the ticking clock stabbing into wounds still open. Across town, Marcia Wells locked the door to her tiny cream-colored apartment. Remember to eat lunch on time, don't skip, she reminded Anna, her 16-year-old daughter, who was tying her ponytail and slipping on headphones before school. You're going to that big house again, right? Anna tried to mask a sigh. Marcia smiled. It's a good contract, just a few months and we'll cover your advanced math tuition. She slung her tool bag over her shoulder, microfiber cloths, cleaning sprays, gloves, a lemon-scented kitchen disinfectant. Mother and daughter hugged quickly. Marcia headed for the bus stop. At the Montaigne estate gate, the guard, John, nodded. Good morning. You're the new one. Yes, I'm Marcia. The kids here, they're tough, John muttered, handing her a visitor's badge. Just do your job. If you need anything, call me. In the kitchen, the cook, Carmen Brooks, was pulling a tray of bread from the oven. You're the new help. Those poor kids. Carmen sighed, wiping her apron. Their mom died early, their dad's never home, and no nanny lasts more than a few weeks. They're not bad, they're just broken. A short sentence that unlocked a window into their souls. The first week, Marcia stayed quiet, scrubbing floors, polishing banisters, gathering toys tossed across couches. She watched. Michael, bright eyes, sharp reflexes, every sentence laced with a dare. Sophia, loud sobs like sirens whenever frustrated. Gabe, silent, as shadows the second adults raised their voices. By week 2, the upstairs hallway echoed with wheels of broken toy cars and a bald doll rolling along the floor. Don't touch our stuff, Michael snapped, bristling like a kitten puffing up. Marcia didn't argue. She knelt down, dipped her cloth, kept wiping, and softly hummed a lullaby she once sang to Anna Hush, little baby. Sophia paused. What song is that, a lullaby my daughter loved when she was little? You have a daughter? Michael asked, forcing a tone of indifference. 16. She was stubborn too, especially when she was sad. The test came quickly. Michael slipped on a step, skinning his knee, blood trickling. He barked at everyone, "Don't touch me." Marcia crouched, eyes level. "Can I take a look?" Michael froze a second, then nodded. Antiseptic stung superhero bandage pressed on, neatly a soft pat on the edge of the gauze. All done. Thanks, Michael. Mumbled, embarrassed, like he'd just leaked a secret. The following Monday, the agency sent Carla Rivers' 50-years-old degree in education resume stacked with wealthy families a thick handbook of schedules. Carla stood in the living room, voice sharp. I'll be clear. Disobey punished. Crying won't help. Discipline is discipline. Rick, desperate for order, touched the banister, exhaling relief. Thank you for coming. He left for his meetings had a little lighter. Carla began. Breakfast at 7. Lessons at 9, exercises at 10. Absolute silence at noon. More lessons in the afternoon. Dinner at 6, lights out at 8. Deviate and be punished. Sophia refused broccoli. Carla removed her plate. If you won't eat, you won't eat at all. Gabe counted too slowly. Carla snapped. Too slow. Boys don't cry. Michael snapped a pencil in frustration, door locked, lights off. Stay there until you learn care. Tiny fists pounded wood until they didn't. That night, Sophia woke, screaming from a nightmare. Marcia heard the sobs, slipped in, sat on the bed. I'm here. She didn't say, stop crying. She sang. Sophia's heartbeat slowed. She fell back asleep. One afternoon, Carla scrolled her phone, hyperactive children, codeine, small doses, more manageable. The triplets hid behind the sofa, whispering to Marcia. She said she'll give us medicine so we'll stay quiet forever. Gabe murmured, voice sharp as a needle, like Mom. Marcia wrapped all three in her arms. No one touches you without your dad's permission. I promise. And then... The crinkle of a paper bag echoed as Carla walked into the kitchen, carrying packs of cough syrup she had just bought. Marcia stood blocking the kitchen doorway, eyes fixed on the bag of medicine. No prescription, no drugs. Carla sneered. You're just the help. Move. If you breathe a word to Mr. Montaigne, I'll say it was your idea. Who do you think he'll believe, someone with credentials or a maid? Marcia didn't flinch. I'm a mother. You're not hurting kids here. You're fired, Carla hissed, pointing straight at the door. No, 3 small voices cried out in unison from the doorway. Michael strode forward, planting himself in front of Marcia, arms slightly spread. She didn't do anything wrong. You're the cruel one. Sophia trembled but forced the words out. You locked Michael in the dark. Gabe drew a sharp breath, summoning every ounce of courage. We want Miss Marcia. The back door swung open. Rick, briefcase in hand, rose like someone had hit pause. He'd only come by to grab files before his meeting, but the scene rooted him still. His 3 children, the wild warriors who had worn down every adult, were defending the maid against the professional nanny. What's going on here? Rick asked, eyes narrowing at Carla. She switched tones instantly, shoulders sagging in mock victimhood. You came just in time. This employee undermines my work, inciting the children to rebel. Rick turned to Marcia. She answered plainly, without excuses. I asked about the medicine. No prescription not allowed. Michael cut in, breaking the adult voices. Dad, she said she'd make us quiet forever. Like Mom. The words, like Mom, slammed into Rick's chest like a hammer. In his mind flickered the security store down the street and the invoice from a few months back. The house had a CCTV system. To the study, Rick said, voice dropping low. The group moved upstairs. Rick pulled up the footage, rewound. Carla's shouting, children crying, dishes clattering. The gray-green screen bared painful fragments. Michael shut in a dark room. Sophia's plate snatched away. Gabe curled small in his chair. Threaded between were moments of peace. Marcia crouching to eye level, pressing on a superhero bandage, wiping Sophia's sweaty forehead at midnight, pulling a blanket over Gabe's shoulders. Rick clicked the monitor off. Enough. He looked straight at Carla. "You're fired. Leave my house, now, or I call the police." Carla sputtered, throwing up degrees training experience, but Rick had already opened the door and pointed outside. "John," he called. The guard appeared. 20 minutes later, a suitcase rattled over the brick path. The door shut. The air inside shifted from a guitar string stretched too tight into something light enough to breathe. Rick stepped into the kitchen. Marcia sat at the table, the triplets around her, each holding a crayon. "Daddy, look," Sophia held up a picture of 5 figures holding hands, Dad, the siblings, and Miss Marcia. "She's here," Sophia pointed. Rick's throat burned hot. Words refused to come. That evening, Rick invited Marcia onto the back porch. Wind whispered through oak leaves, lights glowed on the pool. "Be their official nanny," Rick said. "I'll pay 10 times more full benefits. I need someone good for my kids. I don't have a certificate," Sir Marcia stammered. "You have what no training gives my kids trust, Rick said slowly. "They love you." Marcia nodded, but set her conditions, fixed hours so she could be home at night for Anna, weekends off, and permission to bring Anna by to know the kids. Rick agreed without hesitation. "You just brought my children back to me." The next day, the household rhythm changed. Breakfast at 8, sharing dreams from the night before. Mornings with Play-Doh and storybooks. Quiet afternoons, then garden play. Dinner together, baths, and one story before bed. Everything softened like clay warming in hand. By Thursday night, Rick came home early. He stood at the living room door, not entering yet. On the rug, Michael molded a little superhero. Sophia shaped a family. Gabe pressed out a giant elephant. "My superhero protects my sister's family," Michael said, placing his figure next to hers. "The elephant is Dad," Gabe whispered, clear and sure. "He watches over everyone." "Tell us a story." Miss Marcia Sophia hugged her knees, eyes sparkling. Marcia told them about the princess and the 3 dragons afraid of the dark, how people grow stronger when someone stays beside them through fear. Gabe turned toward the door. "Come in, Dad." "I know you're there." Rick stepped in, kneeling on the rug. Meetings could wait. Clay stuck to his fingers. Children's laughter filled the walls once ruled by ticking clocks. That night they all ate together. Marcia didn't bark quiet. She asked, "How do you feel inside? What made you sad? Want me to continue the dragon story?" The weight in the house lifted like a ton had rolled away. But outside, storms gathered. Victoria, Rick's sister, a psychologist, called, voice sharp as a blade. "Have you lost your mind? Leaving your kids with a cleaning lady." At the country club, whispers flew faster than wind. Rick's gone off course, grief-stricken. At school, Anna endured cruel jokes. "Your mom's gold-digging a rich man." The needles of judgment began pricking through the fragile new skin of this family. The charity event at the Preston Hollow Country Club was a parade of judging eyes. Marcia walked beside the children, wearing a simple pale blue dress, her hair pinned neatly. "Where did you study education?" A society lady squinted. "I studied while raising my daughter." Marcia answered, cheeks flushing. A subtle head shake a sniff like scissors, drawing a sharp, invisible line. At the dessert tray, Sophia accidentally spilled juice down her dress. Instantly, whispers sliced the air like paper cuts. Lack of supervision. Ill-mannered child. Rick saw it all, squeezed his daughter's shoulder gently. "It's all right." But gossip clung like chalk dust to fabric. Monday at school, Anna faced her classmates. "Your mom's hooking a widower," one sneered. "Gold-digging Maid's kid," another scoffed. Anna ran to the back steps of the yard, eyes wet. That night at home, she locked her bedroom door. Marcia knocked, "Sweetheart, do you love them more than me?" Anna's voice broke through the wood part, anger part, fear. "You leave before sunrise, come home, exhausted, hugging them. And me you say, tomorrow we'll talk. Marcia pressed her forehead against the door, heart splitting. I'm sorry, I'm learning to balance. You're my only one. But the truest words sometimes arrive too late. In the middle of this, Gabe fell sick. A small cough grew into a high fever, his chest wheezing. Marcia touched his forehead, blazing hot. Rick didn't hesitate hospital. The pediatric ward glowed white as mist. For 3 nights, Marcia sat in a folding chair by the bed, comforting Gabe through medicine, texting Michael and Sophia at home. Bring sketchbooks tomorrow. She brushed Sophia's hair, explained the oxygen monitor to Michael. Rick stood in the hallway, hands shoved in pockets, watching. Gratitude mixed with shame. For so long he'd thought providing was enough. Now he saw that being there was the foundation. On the 3rd night, Gabe, weary but awake, held Marcia's hand. You're like Mom. The word Mom dropped into the room like a stone cracking a dam. Gabe's fever broke. The family celebrated with hot chocolate in the cafeteria. But the storm outside hadn't passed. Victoria didn't stop. She hired someone to slip pieces of Helen's jewelry into Marcia's canvas tote in the kitchen, while also arranging for a technician to service the CCTV system in exchange for erasing a week of data. Every move lined up for a low blow, striking at a fragile new trust. Tuesday morning, just after the kids left on the bus, Rick called Marcia into the study. He hesitated. A few of Helen's things are missing. I need to check your bag. The words hit the hardwood floor like that shattered Italian vase years ago. Marcia placed her tote on the desk, opened it. A pack of tissues, and beneath, the glint of metal. Rick felt the ground pulled from under him. Why, his voice was hoarse. Marcia shook her head. Tears falling, I swear, on my daughter's life. I didn't take them. The door burst open. The triplets had run back from the yard now, frozen in the doorway. Dad, if you make her cry, we don't like you anymore, Michael said. Eyes red, voice breaking. Sophia wrapped her arms tight around Marcia's waist, face buried. Gabe whispered 3 words sharp as a prayer, don't let her go. Like Mom. Rick's phone rang. Victoria, you found it, didn't you? Her voice dripping satisfaction. The word found was too slick. Rick stood still, heart turning cold. How did you know when I'd check silence? Then hesitation. In that pause, every piece clicked. Victoria's voice cracked, breath ragged. Words spilled like a dam bursting. I just wanted to protect you. Protect the kids. She doesn't belong with us. The truth exposed at last. Rick hung up and looked straight into Marcia's eyes. I'm sorry. He spoke each word clearly, with no excuses, no detours. I let evidence crush trust. Marcia wiped her tears, steadying her voice. I'll stay, but from now on, trust is the first condition. Rick nodded, as though signing a new vow. That very day, he called the security company to replace the entire system, brought in lawyers, and most importantly, changed his own habits coming home for dinner, regularly giving Marcia more authority over the children's routines and handwriting a note stuck to the fridge. Here we tell the truth, apologize for real, and make real amends. That weekend, Marcia brought Anna over. The gate swung open. John waved. Hey there, kid. Anna clutched her bag straps tight. Nervous. So, you're the famous triplets, she teased, breaking the ice. Michael being. Michael shot back. You don't like us, do you? The question was an arrow. Anna inhaled. I was jealous. I thought you stole my mom. Gabe shook his head, tugging softly at her shirt. We just want her here too. Sophia nodded, eyes wide. A small, warm sentence like laying a thin blanket over a shivering heart. The ice cracked. That afternoon passed on swings with Play-Doh and a drawing of 4 kids, 3 small one, older, grinning wide. One evening after dinner, Michael suddenly asked, "Why didn't you play with us after Mom died?" The question speared Rick's chest. He set his knife and fork down. "I hid in work because I was hurting. I thought if I worked more, I'd miss her less. I was wrong." Sophia whispered soft as wind. "We were sad too, but we had nowhere to hide." Rick nodded. "From now on, I'll be home for dinner. If I have to go, I'll tell you first, and I'll make up for it with time, not gifts." The kids exchanged glances, then nodded together an unspoken pact sealed without paper. Late that night, after putting away the last Play-Doh tub, Rick stood at the sink beside Marcia. "Did you ever think you'd marry again?" Marcia froze. "Why do you ask? Because I love you." Rick said straight as he'd sign an important contract. No frills, no riddles. Marcia stared at the soapy water, thinking of Anna, of the kids of the stairs outside. "People will say I'm climbing too high," she said honestly. "They'll shoot arrows at Anna and the children." Rick shook his head. "All I care about is this house. You, Anna, Michael, Sophia, Gabe. The rest of the world I'll handle." Victoria asked to meet. She came without heavy makeup, sat in the living room, eyes red. I'm sorry," she said, no excuses. "I thought I was protecting the family. Really, I was protecting my ego. I was jealous because you did what I couldn't, pulled my brother and the kids out of grief." Michael crossed his arms, laying down terms like a child prosecutor. "You can't make Miss Marcia cry again." Victoria nodded as if signing a contract. Then Michael dropped a line that made everyone laugh through tears. "We can like more than one person. Liking Miss Marcia doesn't mean we like Dad less." For the first time, Victoria smiled, truly understanding. On an ordinary afternoon, Sophia sat on the back steps musing, "Can Miss Marcia marry Dad?" Gabe added solemnly, "Then Anna would really be our big sister." Marcia looked at their round faces, knowing the answer was already in their eyes. That night, she knocked on the study door. Rick looked up, pen in hand. "I'll say yes." He blinked. "Yes? To what?" "Yes to everything." Marcia smiled a smile that had weathered weariness, doubt, and stood strong. A week later, just as dessert was served, Rick pushed back his chair and knelt. "Marcia Wells, will you marry me?" The triplets shouted, "Yes!" before Marcia could laugh and nod. Anna stood behind them, phone in hand, eyes brimming. The whole family wrapped around each other like a bouquet tied with one more ribbon, tight and tender. They decided to marry in the garden, no spectacle. White wooden tables arranged in a golden string lights draped overhead jars of wildflowers picked up at the weekend market. Carmen tested the cake. John checked the outdoor outlets, and the kids' preschool teachers arrived early to help tie ribbons on chairs. A few of Rick's colleagues came too, the kind who knew the difference between character and status. In the afternoon, sunlight sifted through the leaves. Michael walked slowly, holding the ring box face, solemn as a messenger. Sophia went ahead, scattering rose petals each step, leaving a pale pink trail. Gabe carried a handmade sign, "Welcome to our family mom." Anna, in a pale blue dress, played bridesmaid to her mother, holding Sophia's hand when nerves crept in. The first notes began not a live orchestra, but a playlist Marcia and Anna had chosen the night before, playing softly from a small speaker. Rick watched Marcia walk toward him. No ball gown, no crown, just a simple white dress hair and a low bun, a smile that had weathered every storm. His vow was short. "You didn't just save my children. You saved me from believing that providing was enough." Marcia replied, "Here I have a family bigger than I ever dreamed, and I promise every day I'll be there when the children are afraid." Then it was the kids' turn. Michael, "I promise to protect our family." Sophia, "I promise to be a good sister to Anna and a good daughter to Mom." Gabe, the one who once stayed silent, I promise to say how I feel, not lock it in a dark room inside me." Laughter rippled. Someone sniffled. The reception had no liquor, no fireworks, just chasing games, soft music, and a cake that wasn't too sweet. Victoria handed out tissues, hugged Marcia, whispered, "Thank you for giving me another chance." Marcia smiled. That's what family is. 5 years later, the Dallas mansion was transformed. Mornings at the table buzzed like a nest spoons clinking. Rick reading the day's schedule, Anna, now a med student, sharing stories from her hospital shift. Michael glued cardboard models talking about staircases and light. He loved architecture. Sophia struck a few piano chords showing off her latest piece. Gabe read a short story he'd written the night before. The whole family hushed to listen. Marcia hung her freshly earned early childhood education degree, not to brag, but to remind herself that her heart had been named by a tiny piece of paper. Rick had learned to delegate work to be home on time for dinner. Evenings, the family spread books and papers across the kitchen island, golden lights glowing overhead, each person working on their own thing. Then came story time on the sofa, not long, but always. Victoria had become a true aunt, taking the kids out on weekends, escorting Sophia to piano lessons, teaching Michael how to present sketches like a doctor presenting a case file. She no longer tried to control. She accompanied. Sometimes, when the garden lights flickered like little stars, Rick and Marcia sat together watching the kids run across the lawn. They spoke of the past. If Carla hadn't gone too far, if Victoria hadn't slipped in that phone call, if the triplets hadn't stood at the kitchen door and shouted, "No," would they have recognized the good knocking at the door Marcia often told the kids whenever they asked about those dark days? Sometimes bad things push us to the door of something good. Our job is not to give up on love. And if you've stayed with us until now, perhaps you believe, as they do, a house becomes a family. Not because it's big or expensive, but because inside it people stay when you're afraid, apologize when they're wrong, and keep their promises when they speak them. If this story touched you, hit like, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe, tap the bell, so you won't miss the next story.